Hello, it's another Monday. Um, and if, like me, it is, I think, is it the most depressing Monday of the year? Hence the blue shirt, isn't it? Blue Monday today. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit blue, probably. So, hence why I wanted to do this LinkedIn Live on this topic today on um, hope on the high street. Is there hope on the high street with all the news, the fantastic news that we're getting every day by the sounds of it on the vaccine program? So, is there good news on the horizon? And it'd be great, I think, for me this week to engage with you a lot more. So, um, on a comments and discussion level. So hopefully you're all feeling like you want to chat because it'll be great to hear your thoughts on it. But really on um, where you're thinking now. Are we coming to an end of uh, this period of time? Obviously, I think there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go globally, but for the UK, are we now sort of heading in the right direction and towards the end? And what does that mean for retail? There's been a lot of comments and discussions around what we're all hoping to do this year, what we're wanting to do, what we'll do as soon as we can. And is retail one of those things? Is physical retail going to be in that mix, of all of those things? So let me know, and as always, every week, where you're watching or tuning in from. Say hello, give me a wave, whatever you do in the comments, and let me know where you're watching this from, and what you're thinking, how you're feeling, how January's treating you. It feels like a really long month, I think. So excuse my sort of non-optimism today. I think it's been a long couple of weeks. I think really looking forward to beginning to begin to see the sort of fruits of a lot of these thoughts and comments that we're having um, as we move in the right direction. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking. My sort of thoughts on kind of, is there that sort of hope on the high street? I've talked about it weeks and weeks, every week that we've been doing these sort of chats and these lives, where there's so much hope on, for me, for the future of retail. Whether it's like I was saying last week, I think there's a sort of renaissance due in 2021. I think we're all gonna want to engage physically. I think the shops are going to find a new kind of lease of life from a consumer point of view. I think it's going to find a short-term bounce. I think we're all going to want to engage in a whole new level. I think internationally and kind of that global piece, I think our 2021 is still a year where we will continue to probably maintain a presence in the UK. I think that our sort of focus will be again, where we've talked local. We've talked a lot about local. We've talked about local high streets, local shops. I think we will be in tune, and we are so much more in tune with that. So that will continue. I'm sort of going to continue doing all of the things that I've done in terms of the lockdown, and where I've been shopping and how I've been engaging and all those kind of things. And I think there will be this sort of, brands need to kind of grasp this kind of shop local, this localized piece, this like refresh of being outdoors and discovery and all those. And I think they are. And I think the conversations and lots of things that are happening with kind of clients and things like that is all around refreshing the experience. So I think 2021 is going to be focused on capturing the imagination, capturing that sort of pent up frustration, that pent up demand. Will as soon as Primark can open the doors, there'll be queues outside. So I think there is this sort of short-term bounce that retail and hospitality and leisure and all those things are gonna find. I think the more we read about it, the more we see the kind of the focus will be on a kind of gradual. So I think we're not going to be able to do all the things that we want to do at once. And I think retail especially is going to need to sort of tread that sort of navigate that sort of trajectory in a careful but considered way. But I think the long-term implications for retail and for the high street is there is hope. I think there's hope. There's massive hope for this year. There's massive hope in general, and I think there is a real strong case for where we're heading from a retail point of view. And I think you just have to look at I talked I think last week, and I've said a couple of comments on LinkedIn about there's a real exciting piece for anyone in retail who is watching the kind of the transfer saga sort of playing out for the likes of Arcadia and those brands. That kind of gives me hope. You just have to look at the kind of bidding war and the kind of people that are in the mix for buying Topshop and places like that. Is that there's still big companies like Next and JD Sports alongside like limited brands are talking about investing in these businesses, investing in bricks and mortar, investing in real estate and all of those kind of things. Like landlords are looking at investing in their portfolios. Retailers are looking at how they kind of re-establish themselves. And there's the casualties that we've talked about week on week and kind of traditional retailers where they're going to struggle. But ultimately, the brands that have created, I think businesses that are brave enough and that we've seen have been brave enough in the last 9 months will continue to succeed. And those sort of ones that will innovate, and especially like the ones that have created these sort of content hubs. We've talked a lot about content hubs, will be the ones to define retail in 2021. So my thoughts, that's definitely where I'm thinking. I'm still really excited like for this year. I think the vaccine program that we're having here in the UK, and it'd be great if anyone's watching from any other country, because we're kind of obviously, or my information on the vaccine program is all UK based. So I think we're now calling forwards 70 plus. So it's looking good. It's looking positive. And I think when we come out of this, I don't know how long we've got until we can kind of, if we're ever going to be back to kind of where we were. But when we come out of this, I think there'll be this sort of whole focus on going back to what, like being able to do the things that we were able to. And one of those obviously was shopping. I think that the fact that the biggest thing that retailers and brands and landlords and everything and shopping centres and anyone like that needs to really focus on is that connect. I don't know what hopefully we can get back to the rule of 6. If we can just get back to meeting, have the rule of 6, that'll be good. And I think that is going to be the biggest driver. It's been long. I think it's a long time since you can kind of be with someone else, and I think that's what's the hardest piece, is that kind of physical connection. I felt super zoomed out on Friday. I've done enough video calls, and here I am again on a video chat, just randomly chatting on. But I was so zoomed out last week. I think that's probably, I was like, I really can't do this anymore. I really need to meet someone in person and have a physical meeting with them, because it's, I think we're probably all the same. But ultimately, that kind of goes into shopping, retail, quizzes, online quizzes, all those things that we've all been doing. They're really draining now. And to go back to engaging in physical sense will, for me personally, is the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, and that's across all things. But I think from a consumer point of view, I can't wait for the days that we can kind of browse and shop and visit places and do all those things that we did. But I think it's not going to be the same, and I think that's probably for the right reasons. And actually, I was talking about it the other week, but it's the challenges of the high street have been kind of exemplified during the last 9 months, and really everything's just been sped along, accelerated in terms of where the high street probably was going anyway. So we've just done that in a really contained period of time. So yeah, I think, which is kind of why we're all playing catch up, and everyone's playing catch up, and everyone's sort of confused or not sure where to go, and everyone's going down different routes, but that's quite exciting as well. I think that what comes at the end is a real exploration of where we're going to end up. So I'm just going through the comments. So Reno, thank you. It's a very challenging year, and there is a lot to do when we all come back. I think there's a lot to do in the strategy piece. I think there's two sort of fold, and it's interesting because from a professional point of view, there's a lot of conversations now around strategies, around reinventing things, revising things, constantly reviewing. I think, which has been great because we've gone super speed for, I don't know, it's always been evolve. Newness, let's do this, let's try that. And actually now is the time. We've had these 9 months of kind of reflection and review and revising things, and actually that's another thing to be hopeful for. Like nothing stopped. I think things have stopped in the short term, like from a retail point of view, but behind the scenes, I think a lot of things are happening to revise. Otherwise, I've said sort of, if you don't move forward, you stay still, and you're kind of doomed anyway. So, and we've seen the casualties of that, and I think that's highlighted a lot. And you can kind of see the winners in the sort of retail landscape of the ones that are evolving and constantly revising their strategy. So, Jim, the vaccine program will be key to customer confidence. Totally. I think my 90-something-year-old nan's had it, and now she's like desperate to get out. So she keeps saying, now I've had it, can I go? Am I allowed to go out? Do I need to? So she's already got this confidence through the vaccine. She's had both doses as well. So she's kind of rocking it. That she's got this confidence, and she wants to, like with her friends, she's got friends, and she wants to, and that's not the demographic that potentially a lot of these brands and businesses want to be talking to. But I think it highlights probably where the consumer will be. I think I read about and sorry to anyone, I'm probably heading in that way anyway, but the grey pound, I don't really like that terminology, but the kind of, there's a confidence behind it. Travel agents and travel companies and places like National Express and all those kind of UK-based companies are seeing this sort of like massive surge in demand for future bookings from the over 50s. And I think that, again, goes to highlight that there will be a confidence. And I think hopefully that confidence will be picked up in retail. And I think it certainly will, because like we mentioned, Primark can't, if Primark are not like the kind of like the I don't know, the poster boys, shall we say, of retail and kind of what goes on. And I know they haven't got a website, so there's a pent up demand, but I know what'll happen. There'll be video BBC News cameramen outside Primark on reopening day or on, and people will be queuing there. So so Neil, I'm seeing lots of Neil comments. So thank you, Neil. I'm always missing out loads of comments from Neil. So I going to quickly go through a lot of Neil's points. And I think that's that piece is that short-termerism. And I think that's such a great point, is a lot of the challenges that retail have faced are not because of the pandemic. They've been intensified because of the pandemic. So, and I think that's the piece. I think, yes, I think there's going to be this short-term fix, and I think there's going to be a short-term kind of piece that we all, as brands, retailers, agencies, we need to kind of capture. We need to capture that desire to do something, to go back to the stores. We need to capture that, because I think it will be quite a short-term thing. I think then the other things will come. I think because probably stores and shops and retail may be one of the first. I don't know. I can't imagine the whole country kind of operate. And there's obviously pubs and restaurants and all that has to come. And then we're going to hit the biggest summer of sport if we're allowed to do that, because there's the World Cup, there's the Olympics, there's Wimbledon tennis that we didn't hit last year. There's probably 101 other things, because I'm not the sportiest person, but we're going to have to play against that in a retail world. So we've got to take that on board. But then there'll become Christmas. So hopefully, because Christmas this year was pretty crappy from a retail point of view, it just in general, I think across not only from sales, but I think it just in the whole delivery of it. And so that I think Christmas this year will be bigger, but the longer term implications is we just continually need to build on, as Neil's saying here, balancing the long and short term of equal importance. And I think that's totally right. Neil's put in here. It is bang on that there needs to be a piece around how you focus on that longer term strategy. So probably where we talked, or I've talked, or you have to look at Arcadia. They would, and from working there, you can see it. We were so focused on delivering daily, fast changes, commercial operations, that it was a continual cycle of kind of just delivering the experience. But we never really, I suppose, from a conceptual creative strategy point of view, it was very short term. And if you look at the kind of how different probably the business Arcadia, the challenges Arcadia faces today that it did 10 years ago, is hence why there's been a massive challenge. And I don't think people like Next probably get enough credit for embracing those longer term points. They had a catalog business, they but only recently have phased that out, and they've kind of redefined the store. They've done new formats. They're now into beauty, obviously getting licensing deal with Ted Baker, and I think Laura Ashley and things like that. So they're constantly, although not in a potentially sexy way in how they deliver it, if they're looking to tie up a partnership, a sort of deal in terms of being partners with in Topshop, and they've done the same for Victoria's Secret. They're kind of positioning themselves in a way that ensures their longer term strategy. It's not about just delivering constantly on a short term basis, and I imagine there's longer term implications around their digital format, their bricks and mortar stores containing multi brands. I know they had Lipsy. I don't know if they still got Lipsy, but they still had they used to have a bolt on for Lipsy. And then where we keep talking about Frasers and Flannels and how they're sort of redefining their sort of portfolio to attract their customer. I think that's a really interesting piece around the hope, the fact that it's got to be a longer term piece. I think we've all lived in such. It goes back to what I was saying. It's all been so here and now. It's been so fast. It's been deliver this, and there's kind of a revival. And I think hopefully the vaccine program gives that confidence to both the consumer and the brands and retailers and that to kind of undertake these new kind of initiative, and whether it's something very small or a kind of big scale activation, I think people will be very willing, probably more willing than they have been or were before, to engage in a new way. And whether that's through a physical activation or a kind of multi-sensory activation, or through something that's kind of merging physical and digital, I think there's kind of huge opportunity and hope for that. So it's gonna kind of come alongside a whole other things, but I think that's also what kind of where retail can stand out and take some courage from, or a sense of is going to need to engage with these other activations that are happening. So why can't retail, and I'm sure Adidas and Nike and all those will suck into that world, but we're all going to want to do everything. How can we engage on a new platform in retail with things like the Olympics, with the European Championship football, with I don't know, music, and all of those things. So we're all going to want to consume as much as we physically can. I know I am anyway. So hopefully if anyone else is, but I'm wanting to physically consume as many things that my two girls and I this weekend wrote a list of the things that we want to do when, we start to be able to do some more things and there's a whole range of activities on there. But at some point, all of those we could be consumed or used as consumers in pretty much all of those points. So Blackpool Pleasure Beach, I've never been to Blackpool, and I'd love to go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And probably anyone on there is like, why would you want to go there? But it's a thing we want to do. But that's a whole experience. There's going to be shopping. There's going to be brands. There's going to be brides. But actually, I want to embrace it all. So there's an opportunity for probably non-traditional retail to start merging and sucking you in a whole new way. So that's good. That's exciting. And I think a lot of it goes back to last week where we were talking about collaborations and brand positioning and how products and all those things start to work. And actually, that's what is exciting. I probably started off being really negative, which is probably why I like coming on these LinkedIn Lives every week, because it gives me an opportunity to sit here and ramble on about my thoughts on retail. I've had some messages from people who are going to come on and do some one-to-one chats at some point, which was after last week's thing. So if you missed last week or you didn't stay on long enough to hear me wave the white flag and ask if anyone wants to come on and have a debate discussion one-to-one, or if you want to just name a topic, or if there's something specific you want to talk about or for me to share or anything, then please send me a message or drop me a note or whatever you want to do, and we will get it arranged. If you want me to stop doing these, also tell me and I'll stop. I'll just do them to myself, I think, or to my dog who sits down in the corner making noises every time. So yeah, hopefully it kind of it's a good way to start the week. It's a good way for me to just chat at lunchtime on a Monday, and I love the interaction. So I love the interaction during this. I love the fact that people watch these afterwards, and I love the fact that people send me messages and things like that. So please keep doing that. Please keep saying hello. Please keep telling me the good, the bad, and the ugly about what I'm chatting about. And unless there's any other questions, which there has been, which is, let's finish on this one. How reserved, reluctant. Thanks, Ian from Wild. It's good to see the guys that I work with are watching. How reserved, reluctant spend do you think brands going to be after the reduction in review? I think this is a great point. I think brands are going to be very conscious of investing. They're going to be really cautious. I think it's going to be a case of building a confidence with the consumer, but also internally. I think but the more you can, and this goes back to return on investment, it goes back to linking in with other departments, other activations, other things that are happening. So if there's other ways to kind of convert the consumer, not just physically, and that's where I think a lot of this revised strategy has to go, is that brands have to be joined up enough to take these things on together with other departments. So whether it's with the marketing activation, or how can they commercialize these opportunities? So probably where I was talking about going to Blackpool Leisure Beach, I'm not only going there, I'm going there with two girls, children. I wish I was going there with two, but two children, and yeah, they like, how can you commercialize that piece? So yeah, it's that's kind of where I think of it. It's about taking all those opportunities and kind of really converting on that investment. And I think that will grow a confidence into delivering more. But it's about doing more with less. And I think as creatives and as brands and agencies and all that, we're probably getting used to that anyway. So it's about being clever. It's about being consistent. It's about being as joined up as you possibly can across all those consumer touch points. And to finish on a perfect note, is visual promotion will be key. So it's because we want to consume stuff in real life. So we want to suck in as much as you possibly can. So yeah, plenty of hope. I think exciting, probably a slow few months, January, February, but a good kind of few months ahead. So hopefully we can all look forward to that. But anyway, as I say, drop me a note, get in contact, let me know what your thoughts are, and I shall see you next week. All right, thanks. Bye.